Hey everyone, welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Today's topic is Porsha Williams and Kenya Moore, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16. Now, I'm going to talk about specific incidents from this particular season. And please note, this is not my typical content. I am a pro-marriage, pro-wife, pro-traditional content creator. I'm also pro holding women accountable and calling them out. So that's my type of content. But every now and then I will talk about, a specific incident on the Housewives. So we heard Porsha, I guess in her drunken stupor, say that she was going to F Charles, who is Angela's husband. Now, when I read comments online in the Real Housewives forums and stuff, you have a lot of women, who are saying, don't nobody want Charles but Angela and this, that, and the other. I don't know what type of money he has. Okay, it's estimated that he's worth around $5 million. Well, to an unscrupulous scallywag, that's enough for some women who are willing to stoop low to sleep with a married man so she can get her paws on that money. Now, I'm not saying Porsha wants that man specifically, but it does not seem to be above her to mess with a married man. I remember the episode when Porsha was at Phelan's house with Simon, and something just struck me in my spirit about that whole thing when Porsha was in the pool with that big old butt of hers and Simon was lurking around. Something told me something was off. So it's not above her to mess with the married man. I don't care if he was on his way out of that marriage or whatever. You wait until the person is officially divorced. And allegedly, Phelan was, they tried to justify it by saying that she was cheating. Well, Simon obviously has poor taste in women because Phelan has multiple children by multiple men. And I remember it seems to be this low morals women's code that as long as it's not your friend's man, you can sleep with him even if he's with another woman, married to another woman. I've seen that sentiment on Vanderpump Rules as well. But I feel, and I've said this before, Dennis dodged a bullet by leaving Porsha on the curb where she belongs. She's not wife material. She doesn't want to be married. Even if the perfect guy, richest, handsomest, whatever, she's not going to be married to that man long. She's got ants in her pants, as my grandmother used to say. I don't think that she is at a point where she could pair bond with a man because she's been too busy being a scallywag. Cordell was the best husband Porsha will ever get. I don't know why women think that there is an abundant supply of marriageable men on the market, just like they seem to think that there's an abundance of marriageable women on the market, because it's not. It's really lacking on, I don't want to say necessarily on both ends. I think that men tend to be more traditional minded than women are. And I don't know why these women who consider themselves baddies, they marry these well-to-do men. Porsha's not the only one. And then once they secure the bag with him, all of a sudden they want to branch out and be this independent boss babe, when that man probably thought that he was marrying a traditional minded woman. Porsha started off as a trophy wife. If you remember, she was a trophy wife. And I remember one episode, this was quite a few years ago, when she went to Vegas with the rest of the women, and she told them, well, Cordell doesn't want me to go to a strip club. And all of the women clutched their pearls. And it's funny because you have so many women who talk about they need or want a man that's a leader and takes charge and what have you. But the minute a man does, now he's a narcissist and he's controlling. This Porsha that we see now was always in her. We just didn't see it in the beginning. And if she had played her cards right, she would be maybe still with Cordell, be a mom to 2 kids, and still be that trophy wife. But she chose to throw it all away because that's what a lot of modern-minded women do. And I'm going to take a guess that she's also a feminist. If you follow my channel, you know I speak a lot about modern-minded women versus traditional women. And Porsha was an evangelist at one point. And so that's all I'm going to say on her. But that's just my opinion. And I know that it's an unpopular opinion in the Real Housewives streets. So now on to Kenya Moore. Now, I often say that she is probably one of my favorite housewives of all times, but I'm realistic. She is a messy, miserable person. And I mean that. That's my personal opinion. But it does not mean that I don't like her. I'm just calling it out. So with the whole Brit incident exposing her explicit pictures at Kenya's spa event, it was low down. And if you remember, I believe it was the first season of season 16, when Kenya kind of made a remark about Brit's wedding ring. You know, she kind of like laughed about it. And I know a lot of people don't share this particular opinion, but I believe that Kenya Moore is jealous of married women. And yes, I realize that she was a married woman at one point and this, that, and the other. But do anybody remember how she treated Kim Fields? It's been other wives on there that, you know, Kenya would have something like smart to say about either the wife or the husband. And I don't remember which episode it was, but it was season 16 when Kenya and Kelly sat down to lunch, and Kelly was like, oh, she's good people. She's cool. You know, I don't know why other people have issues with her, whatever. But Kenya's not going to have a problem with Kelly because Kelly is a woman, you know, going out of her own marriage. So there's nothing to feel threatened about. Yeah, and I don't care what anybody says. Kenya is jealous of married women, point blank, period. And, you know, when Porsha first came onto the show and she was still married to Cordell, she was a trophy wife. And if you remember, Kenya went for her as well. So, but anyway, one point that I wanted to make about Kenya and the whole Brit situation, most likely Kenya was going to find a way to bring up those pictures regardless. I know Brit allegedly threatened her with a pew-pew. You know, I got to be, you know, politically correct on YouTube concerning, you know, that, you know, so a pew-pew, you know what I'm talking about. She was wrong, obviously. But like I said, Kenya was going to bring up those pictures at some point during the course of this season anyway, I bet you. Because Kenya is the type of person to throw the rock and hide her hand. And she likes to hide behind that maniacal laugh that she does after she's just insulted somebody. And she wants to make a joke out of everything when she knows that she meant exactly what she said. So, so that was my, you know, remarks in today's video on Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16. And tell me what you think about the whole Porsha and the comment that she made about Angela's husband and Kenya Moore. Do you think that she should have lost her position on that show after what she's done? And I'll talk to you later.